Good morning. How we all doing today, huh? I'm just gonna make sure everything's working alright here. Stay with me for a second. Okay. Okay, everything's working fine. So listen, I was reading this article, a couple of articles overnight. Uh, One is about what happens if Trump declares martial law. And they said the first thing he'll do, and the primary thing he'll do, is something called habeas corpus, which basically means that if they do away with that, he can just send troops, pick you up off the street, throw you in jail, and keep you there as long as he wants, without due process. That sounds like something that scumbag would do, doesn't it? So we can probably expect that. I'm still trying to figure out why they're expecting him to declare martial law on April 20th. I've also heard April 5th because there's a big rally coming up called Hands Off on April 5th. Look that up. Get involved, all right? I can't do anything from down here other than what I'm doing now, posting videos. If those of you who are just tuning in, I live in Colombia, South America, and I have for 20 years. It's cheaper. I can live on Social Security down here as my only source of income. I don't work. I can't work. I can barely walk right now. So, life gets stranger and stranger. Speaking of habeas corpus, an example of that would be this student that was picked up off the street. She a PhD student or graduate. Anyhow, she was picked up off the street by a group of masked ICE agents, whisked off to Louisiana prison. And she's not from Louisiana. I forget exactly where she's from, but this was done in front of witnesses, and there's a video, or at least a photograph of it on CNN. So that's one of the things that's going on. Big earthquake in Myanmar. Yeah, it started out with 50 people dead. Now they're up over 1,000. They don't have the equipment to dig these people out, which will happen in the United States with the way they're messing with everything in the country. I don't understand the economy in Trump, because as he keeps putting these people out of work, who's going to be spending the money for the products that these rich people are manufacturing? I think they're thinking about going back to some sort of non-minimum wage guarantee and stuff like that, where they, because in Florida, DeSantis is thinking about minimizing, adjusting some of the child labor laws so that they can use children to replace the labor that was lost when they started arresting immigrants and getting rid of the immigrants, because apparently these are jobs that the immigrants did. So now they're going to use child labor. Like, I'm assuming things like picking fruit and lawn care and stuff like that. That's just wonderful, I'm not a real big fan of DeSantis. I think he's dumber than Trump, because if he'd been one iota smarter, he would have been president, but he wasn't, so he's not. Because I think at one time he was leading Trump when he first started out, and then all of a sudden he did I don't remember what he did, but he did something stupid. I still don't know how Trump got elected because he's just not very. He's not a bright man. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna sit here and call him a stupid idiot, but I think that's what he is. You know, he has. He tells everybody he's a certified genius. Certified by who? Arkham Asylum? Come on, you know? Let's get with the program here. Some other things that were going on. The child labor law we talked about. I think that's something you ought to look up, you know, and find out what your kids are. You know, some parents would be grateful for that. You know, there's a lot of parents that shouldn't be parents. And that's you know, the way things. I'm one of those people that I don't think would have made a good parent. I love kids. I get along with kids in short bursts, but I think that the reason I didn't have kids was I just two things. All right, one of the big things is afraid of the responsibility, and I admit to that. And secondly, I just don't think I would have been a good parent. I think there was too much of my father in me at the time, back then. You know, in the marrying age, in the childbearing age. You know, well, of course, men can have children when they're my age, but, you know, well, I can't, so, you know. So that's why I didn't do it. And I think people should look at that, the amount of responsibility that's involved in raising children, is, you know, and do you have the psychological age? How is your childhood? And do you think that you are going to be that type of parent or not? Because that's where your training comes from being a parent. It's what your parents did to you or didn't do to you, you know? You know, this is one of the things I disagree with, this forcing, you know, saying that women are good for nothing but childbearing and they're useless. Well, number one, they fill vacuums in the workforce. Okay, they did that. They've been doing that since, I guess, World War II. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think they should be paid. If they can do the job, they should be paid the same as men, which, you know, men don't really want to see. It's bad. You know, men feel that they can handle male competition better because they could just punch them in the mouth or something. That's what they feel like. So they're more confident around dealing with a man. They don't know how to deal with a woman in charge or a competitor that's a female. They don't know how to handle that. And it's sad, but true. They don't know how to handle it. You know, if your boss is banging your competitor, there's not much you can do about that, you know, but there's still, you know, it's not something I worried about in my life, and it's something that I only experienced once, and that took care of itself. Karma is a bitch. I keep telling people that. But, you know, so I don't worry about it. I think, you know, when my father died, my mom couldn't find a job, couldn't get a credit card, couldn't rent an apartment. That's what the things back in the and that was only, 50 years ago. My father died when I was 21. I'm 79 now, so 58 years ago, she couldn't get a credit card because she was a divorcee. You know, middle-aged white woman, unemployed, hadn't worked in years. Fortunately, she had friends that helped her out, and once she got started, they realized what an asset she was and how smart she was and what a good person she was, and she was fairly successful in what she was doing. Managed to support herself and help me out every once in a while. Because I was sort of crazy and reckless and alcoholic and all the other things, you know, that's one of the, like I said, you know, I wasn't mature enough to have kids back then. So I wasn't mature enough for anything back then. I don't know why I was so immature. I have no idea. I don't know whether that came from being sheltered or I don't know. You know, it took me a long time to mature, and I think I was in my 30s before I actually started to mature correctly. You know, and I didn't get fully mature until I quit drinking, which I think I was 40, 41 when I quit drinking, and that got me there. You know, I'm paying for my bad experiences right now. I have excruciating back pain, and no drugs are working, and I'm not sure exactly what it is. I aggravated something in the shower, and man, it's like, you know, I don't know what I did, but I did something really, really bad. Anyhow, that's not your problem, that's mine. So, you know, go back and look into the child labor laws and see what your kids can happen to your kids. Now, this is just Florida, but I've heard rumors of this in the Trump administration. So, you know, you don't know what's going to happen. Again, will it affect you? If you're an average American, yeah. If you're rich, no, it's not going to affect you. It's like they could bring back the draft tomorrow, and I think they will eventually bring back the draft, which that might cause some serious problems for the Republicans. But you have to remember that these people don't get drafted. Look at Donald Trump. You know, they pay doctors, they pay a lot of people, they do whatever they want, you know. That's that. I just had a thought go through my head, and I wanted to say something, and I was talking about the draft thing, and I forgot what it was all about. All right, that's part of what getting old is all about. You know, you start to forget things. I'll remember later on, but whether or not I want to come back on again is another story. Anyhow, don't know whether I'll be back tomorrow or not. I have other things I need to do some research, and I need to do it on Sunday when there's nobody's bothering me for anything, you know. Anyhow, I will try to talk to you people later on, and it may be later on, and if not, I'll see you Monday morning. But keep this April 5th thing in mind. Look it up, you know. I'll get some more information for you and come back with it, you know. But it's called a massive rally. I think it's in cities and town halls and everything all over the country. It's a national, and we'll see what happens there, you know. I don't know whether Trump cares. You know, told you, rich people don't go in the military. You know, these people don't have to worry about what we worry about. So we'll have to wait and see. Okay, talk to you later.